Hello. So we are slowly but surely melting away the remains of the big snowfall we had this week. And it's in the mid 50s today. And it's going to be that way for several days now, so that's good. Be ready to see the last of this stuff. I was just thinking the other day, I was out here doing something. I thought, this is the worst place for winter because all we ever get here is just cold and wet, rainy and foggy, damp or blustery, cold weather here in the winter. Well, I guess I should be careful what I wish for because we sure got a big dose of it. We had some in 18 when I moved here, a little bit, and then none the next year. We might have had a dusting last year, and then this year we got whacked with it. So the roof's melting off. You can kind of hear it draining into the drain, the French drains there, I guess they are. And anyway, so I've been shoveling some of this stuff off here because this is the north side of the house, and this will stay cold and frozen to the very bitter end. So I scraped off my porch and all that, and I got the welcome mat unstuck and pushed it off the side there, and then when I went to move it over here, it broke in half, so it's junk. But anyway, otherwise everything has returned to normal. So yeah, yesterday I got out and went to the junkyard, one of the ones in the area here, and it has an online vehicle list on it. So I've been, in the past I usually check those pretty often for old stuff, and I never had much luck with it in recent years, so I just kind of stopped doing that. But out of sheer boredom, I guess, I went on there and checked their inventory, and they had a 66 Valiant and a 68 Dodge Dart shown there, and I was about a year late on those. They've been there over a year, both of them, so I knew they were probably pretty well picked over. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go and just see what's there, because when I go to the junkyard, I'm a master of picking things through things and looking under things and getting things that I know that some people may not look hard enough for, or they may just not bother with getting because they don't know it's worth anything. There's a bird that died, unfortunately. That's a goldfinch, and I think he got trapped under the snow because this is where it was got ice and all that. So I've lost several of them this year. That's why I try to keep them fed. But anyway, back to the story. So I headed up there, got the truck all loaded up, and headed up there yesterday, and I'll show you what I got. I didn't get a lot of stuff, but I got every last bit of anything usable off that car. It was a green 68 Dodge Dart sedan like this one. I think that would be called a 270. They changed those, the nomenclature for 69. They changed a lot of things on these cars in 69 for the 69 model year. So I think the 270 is what this one would be called, a custom. This one's a custom. So anyway, I'll show you what I picked up without further ado. So the main thing we got was a full set of seats for it, and they're in decent shape. The upholstery is this green stuff, which was the base upholstery on the 68 Dart. Looking at something that looks kind of strange, but yeah, okay. So base upholstery on the 68 Dart, this is what it was. I think you actually had to pay extra for, or at least a 270. I think you had to pay extra for all vinyl. But anyway, the main reason I wanted this is because I had borrowed, well, not borrowed, I just took the seats out of this car to put in that Plymouth out there, and because I liked that upholstery that was on those seats would match what I was doing with it, and I didn't want to have to spend money for upholstery but one time, and that was going to be on this car, because this car we're going to do something different with the interior on this car. So You'll see what's coming up hopefully with that, but it's not going to look like this. So anyway, I was in need of some seats, and one thing I discovered when I was doing all that sweet seat swapping, say that 3 times very fast, all that seat swapping around was that this car, I knew this car was longer in the body somewhere because it has the 111-inch wheelbase versus the shorter 108 wheelbase that the Valiant, the pre-74 Valiant's built on. So I knew it had some length in it. And where the length is over there. You see where that door is. You see that panel? Well, the Valiant does not have that. A 73 down Valiant does not have that. So that's where the length comes in, the 3 inches extra length on it. So as a consequence, the seat, not sure exactly without taking them both out and looking at them and measuring them, but the back seats are different widths. The Dart seat, the seats out of this car are loose in a Valiant. So I don't know if they sit back further, so it tightens it up between where they sit. I'm thinking that's what it is. So anyway, I was going to need some seats. So these things were just dirt cheap, man. $30 per pair. Like this was $30, and then the 2 for the rear was $30. So you can't really buy those too easily and too cheaply around here because everybody's out to make a killing on stuff like this. So anyway, they were nice and good foundations to build off of. They're still dried out. This thing's actually still got part of a build sheet in it off that car. So they'll need to be reupholstered and tidied up, and frames painted and stuff like that, but no problem. So I'm going to use those for this car. It's a good base for that. I picked up this radiator. This radiator was in the trunk of the Dart, the 68 Dart, way at the bottom under everything. I think one of these seats was actually laying on top of everything too, so I had to dig down to it. So I had to dig down to that thing to get to it because I was looking through all that stuff, and you kind of hate to pick through it, but I had gloves on. And I thought, man, it looks to me like I see a radiator down in there, or part of one. Sure enough, it's just a basic 19-inch radiator, and the core's no good on it. Looks like it's been into the fan a little bit, and it's just a 2-row radiator, and one of the mounts has gone off of it, but it's worth those. Again, that was $30, and I'm not going to recycle it. It's just worth as a core for later needs. And I was looking at the number on it, and I assumed at first, I thought that it was the one out of the Dart. I looked at this number. That's fairly close to a 68 number, but it's not quite. This is actually, this radiator came out of that 66 Valiant that was sitting beside it, because the Valiant was a stick shift, and anyway, it was a stick shift, and this radiator does not have provisions for a cooler on it in the lower tank, if you'll notice, and that's what the number comes up to also. So anyway, I picked that up cheap, and the next thing I picked up was, the last thing really, was this piece here that goes onto this car. This car does not have it. It actually mounts on the frame rail right here where you see those bolts there. But it mounts there. That's called it's the front suspension. I don't know, they call it the starter splash shield on these is what they call that thing. But that one, as you can see, wasn't there. And I assume what happened was, the guy I got this car from swapped out the starter. I guess he assumed that the starter was no good because the engine wouldn't turn. That's what you always do. You just assume that the starter's bad, especially if it's an old Mopar starter. It has to be bad. So he just took the starter off, didn't test it, I guess, and went and got another one. And when that didn't work either, I guess he realized the engine was frozen up. But anyway, he was a real heavyweight. I mean, a big old heavyweight. So I guess he was trying to get as much clearance up to that starter. And it is kind of in the way a little bit of it. So he took it off, and I don't know what he did with it. Discarded it. So anyway, so I picked that up, and that's about it. I was running, the pest control guy had to come yesterday because he was behind also, so I had to stick around here till after 10 o'clock, so I didn't have, it was kind of a rushed trip up there. So I'm planning, I've been thinking about things that I saw there in the junkyard, and I've been making myself a mental list. I want to go back up there and get some more stuff, so I think I'm going to do that. And so that poor car, it was just, it was a nice car. It was every bit as nice as this one, probably nicer. Like I said, it's kind of that light green color, kind of not metallic, but just kind of a frosty green. And anyway, it didn't have any air conditioning or any power steering like this one does, and it was a slant six, but they just taken everything off of it. You see the little thumbnail there. It was just completely wiped out. And it did have quarter panels on it, but the quarter panels were very, very rusty in the back, especially at the bottom. So it just wouldn't be worth my time to try to swap something like that onto this one. So anyway, as I said, I think I'm going to head back up there this weekend. Everything works out okay. And anyway, I have been working off camera. Actually, it was not off camera, but I have a GoPro, a Hero 5. And I've attempted to use that camera for different things when I'm filming stuff, and I'm not happy with it because it makes a lot of, like when you handle the camera, it makes a lot of, I don't know if I've got some kind of setting that's, I don't have it set correctly or something, but it just makes a lot of extraneous noise I don't want to have in the videos, like, moving my hand on the camera and stuff. I've just never been happy with that camera, so I ordered a couple mounts for it to use, like hands-free mounts. I had one like a headlamp mount, and then I had one that was a chest mount. So I've tried a couple different times to use those things for some video work. And the chest mount camera, I don't know, probably good for a cop or something if you have to arrest somebody, but it just didn't work out either, because every time I lean over, even if I tried to re-aim it, it's pointing the wrong way and stuff like that. And the headlamp camera, same sort of deal with it. You have to know where it's pointed, and so I'd have the aim off on it, so whatever I filmed was just no good. It wasn't watchable. So anyway, but I've got this thing coming along pretty well here. It's looking better and better as I go. So I have to work on the front end of it and the front of the engine. And the main thing there is I've got to have to put that air conditioning compressor on pretty much the next thing, because it's I have to have room to get to the bolts on it for one thing, and run the belts and all that. So long story short, just need to have the air conditioning compressor on here. So the one that I have that I took off here is not ruined. It can be rebuilt. I don't think it's worn out or anything, but it's going to take a lot of parts to rebuild it. It's going to need some bearings and a connecting rod and piston kit and seals, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to call somebody that deals in good used Mopar parts and see if I can round up a compressor that's good for not a ton of money. And if I can do that, I'll go that direction with this, and we'll just kind of freshen it up and go with that. So but that's where we're at with this. I'm so tired of winter. I could just scream right now, because it gets because really, to tell you the truth, I don't mind working in the shop in here, but I don't like working in here when all the doors have to be closed up and stuff. It just doesn't inspire me to do much. So anyway, it gets warm, I can open the door up or be outside doing some things. That's where I work the best at, I guess, but making do with it. So I think the next thing I'm going to do here, besides working on getting the air conditioning compressor situation resolved, is this windshield has to come out, and so I've got to take it out and replace it, and that will give me the opportunity. I've been working away on this dashboard also. I've got several things removed from it. I've had these actually in the house doing that when it's been so cold and nasty, But it's time now for the dashboard to come out and be repainted and cleaned out. It's got rat crap all over it inside, so that. I want to show you one thing before I sign off here. I'm kind of happy with. Happy with a lot of stuff, but I'm particularly happy with this. And this is the heater valve that goes here, and I've cleaned it and painted it and tested it, and it's fully functioning. And this is the kind that they had before. There's a little rod on the bottom of it. This is a two-way. If you ever look into the heat, when I get into the heater box, you probably notice you'll see a lot of these vacuum cans. But this is the style that you can actually replace stuff in this heater valve. It's not like the later ones that just have the small little diaphragm and it's all sealed up, and if it goes bad, you're just SOL. So yeah, I like it, man. So there it is. Happy with that. And one other little thing, and then I'll wrap it up. But so I was working around. You know how you notice things. I was just one of my endless rounds of sweeping the floor, I guess. When I was just doing stuff here, cleaning up a little bit and sweeping and moving. And I happened to look over there and I thought, okay, what is that? Looking here. That's oil. Why is there oil on the floor of the shop? Because this engine does not even have any oil in it. There's no oil in this engine, no oil in the transmission. What happened? So I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of a few seconds here to kind of think about this. And you tell me what you think caused that. Because I didn't get it. I thought, well, is it brake fluid? It's not brake fluid. So I'm just looking around here, you know, and kind of looking. So, okay. So I've got my light here. So I'm poking around. Where's that coming from? And I wiped it off now, but I looked closely, and if you look at that valve cover right there, there's oil in the rail right there. And what happened was, see that? See how it's oily? It's already leaking oil. It's not even run yet. Well, that came out of this because this thing, I cleaned it. It's got wire mesh in it. And so what you do is you rinse it out and you oil it. You don't replace it. You just oil it like an old oil bath air cleaner. And so I had this thing sitting on the shelf draining forever and ever, but it was just perfectly vertical, you know. So what happened was, I guess when I put this thing in here, it was too full of oil, and so it leaked oil down the valve cover. A lot of oil in that thing. I got to remember that next time, not to maybe not put so much in it. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, that's it. So I'm going to cut it off here. I've got to go out of town today again. This is my work that I do. They schedule us for all kind of stuff to do the first couple 3 months of the year, and so it's just endless trips out of town. I wish I didn't have to go because I can't really get anything going on Sunday. So anyway, I want to run out here and make this video for you to get something put up today. So I'm going to run in here and throw it up. So we'll talk to you later. And the junkyard up there, I can't film in the junkyard because I'll be bounced out if I do. They don't like that. So I don't do any filming in there. I can sneak a picture in every once in a while, but that's about it. So, but if I have another haul next weekend, I'll certainly show you what I got. So hang in there. See you later.